All right, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another We Read the Document subscriber live stream. Your host, John Brissett. Thank you for being a subscriber. God bless each and every one of you. Anybody who wants to support my work, buy me a coffee / we've read. If you want to subscribe to my work, I suggest subscribing to Substack. But if not, I also offer Patreon and Odyssey subscriptions as well. Substack gives you the most access to the most of my content. So I've been posting my Finder's book, over almost 300 pages of it posted on Substack, as well as, various videos that I've done, audio podcasts that I've been on, including the Christian podcast, which is very, very, sorry, sorry, I had something in my throat there. Very near and dear to my heart, with my co-host, fellow brother in Christ, Jeremy Stone, by their fruits. Shout out to Jeremy, love you, brother. And so you get my streams as well too. I'm even uploading streams that are not on my Odyssey. I've noticed that some of my streams that were previously did not migrate over to Odyssey, so I might add some of those streams too as well, to my Substack and to Odyssey as well for extra content. But I'm definitely going to hit the ground running this summer with more content since I'm off of school. So if you want to support my work, $5 a month, $50 a year on Substack, $5 a month on Patreon, $5 a month on Odyssey. That's all I ask for. And hope everybody's doing well out there, as they can be during these trying times. So first off, today's stream is going to be on Elon Musk, who I believe might be the false prophet, and the coming digital beast system, which I believe is being built, and may have already been built, and is just going to be revealed to the world through the externalization of the hierarchy that Alice Bailey wrote in 2025, if it happens then. And so we're going to discuss Elon Musk's potential role as the false prophet. We're going to discuss the continuation of what I'm dubbing Cambridge Analytica 2.0, the psychographical, psychological, and spiritual warfare to push people to idolize Trump and to vote for Trump as president, and actually, sadly, because it is the job of the false prophet to worship Trump instead of worshiping the one and only Messiah, which is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Okay. And so here is a social media platform that I use. There will come a time one day where I no longer will post on X. I no longer will post on X. I will. I'm considering either taking my tweets down or keeping them up. I haven't decided that yet. But the final tweet I will make is the gospel presentation. It's the final one. And then I will use X to lurk to see what people are posting and what narratives are being spun. But there will come a day, and it may. I've always said the day that they start taking payments, because I believe it is the payment platform of the beast system has come to fruition at that point. But it may be sooner. So where you can find me is on Gorf Social, gorf.com. It was created by a fellow brother in Christ, Derek Peterson, who's a dear friend of mine. And all he requests for you to sign up is your email. And you can use a throwaway email to sign into the social media platform. It doesn't even have to be, your email. He doesn't store, the extensive amounts of data that X is about to do. And we're going to talk about that starting off in this broadcast of what X is setting up for, and the data that they're going to require for people to remain on it, and the data that they're going to use, because I believe it will eventually be the Beast Systems platform for the Mark of the Beast. Okay, so I'm on Gorf. I suggest you should be as well. You can upload videos to Gorf too as well. It's an excellent platform. It's very easy to use. The technology is more advanced than X, in my opinion. X is kind of archaic. But anyway, let's continue. So, starting very soon, X is going to require anybody with a check mark to receive revenue to give over their biometric data along with their ID, their government-issued ID, through a corporation called Authentics, which is an AI software that analyzes your biometric data, your face, and compares it to the face of the picture of your ID to confirm that that is you. Okay. So, Authentics may store such data for up to 30 days. I mean, again, it's probably going to be longer. You know, just like Palantir claiming they anonymize your data through Operation Tiberius Kirk. Okay. X may store full name, address, and hashes of my document ID number for as long as I participate in the creator subscription or ads revenue share program. So Authentics may store the data for 30 days, but X is going to keep it as long as you participate in the creator subscription or ads revenue share program. Okay. So here it says address, right? Well, when Elon Musk, you know, Jake Shields mentioned it, you know, about them keeping their address. He says, why would we have your home address? Well, Elon, it's on your ID. Even the what they call the community notes of X says, well, generally ID documents in the United States include the person's home address. We just saw in the little blurb that X sends you about verifying your ID through Authentics. They want they're going to retain your address. So Elon Musk lies again. That's what he does. What the false prophet does. He lies completely out of his mouth. Lies like Trump. They're very much, you know, together on lying, deceiving the world. Okay. So now we have I have verified this. Okay, that's the reason why I'm reading this. I verified this. You can look it up yourself. It is verifiable. The current CEO of Authentics, the company that has deep ties to Israeli intelligence and is used by X to verify its users' ID, is a man named Dan Yerushalmi. Before becoming the CEO of Authentics, Dan served as CRO and Chief Customer Officer for a company called Checkpoint Software Technologies, CPSST. CPSST is an American-Israeli cybersecurity company that operates out of Tel Aviv. The founder of CPSST, Gil Shwed, serving in Israel's Intelligence Unit 8200. CPSST is also rumored to be collaborating extensively with Israeli government intelligence. We're going to read an article about that in a minute. We have evidence of this happening on at least one occasion with the company worked through an Israeli government to form the consortium IC3, which is established by the Israel Ministry of Economy to address national cyber needs. The co-founder of Dr. Eli David's company, Deep Instinct, in which you'll see Eli David on X, major Zionist, is a man named Nadav Mammon. Mammon, also an ex-Israeli intelligence, has held various senior management positions in CPST over 6 years. But let's go back to Dan. Dan was also the president and business manager of EMEA for Amdocs. You know, the company that was investigated by U.S. federal agencies in the early 2000s for being used by Israel to eavesdrop on U.S. government communication. Yes, that Amdocs. Okay, so we have the involvement of Mossad and the Israeli government very heavily within the 9/11 attacks. Very heavily. You know, look, a lot of people like to say it's an inside job, and it was. The CMP was involved. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Cheney, you know, George W. Bush. You know, yes. You know, George H.W. Bush. You know, the Bush administration. You know, the Council for National Policy. Yes. You know, Project for New American Century. Half CFR, half CMP members. But so was Mossad, and so was Russia. And a lot of people don't want to talk about Mossad's involvement. A lot of people don't want to talk about Russia's involvement. A lot of people don't want to talk about the Israeli government's involvement. A lot of people don't want to talk about the Russian government's involvement of 9/11. Okay? They just don't want to. Now, why could that be? You know, some people maybe don't research heavily enough. But in most cases, it's because they're shills. Let's be real here. All right, so... And so, you know, here's a little video on Amdocs real quick.
Been detained in connection with the September 11th terrorism investigation. Carl Cameron reported that U.S. investigators suspect that some of these Israelis were spying on Arabs in this country and may have turned up information on the planned terrorist attacks back in September that was not passed on. Tonight, in the second of 4 reports on spying by Israelis in the U.S., we learn about an Israeli-based private communications company for whom a half dozen of those...
Isn't this crazy? This was being reported on Fox News. This would never be reported on Fox News now if this was happening. As on Tintex being reported on Fox News. Huh. All the company that uses Tintex's services. We're going to talk about that. It's very interesting. You know, a lot of the researchers and social media influencers on X were ragging, rightfully so, about X's being a social media platform, and which is supposed to be anonymous, and using Tintex to, you know, biometrically confirm people's identities. But what about all the other corporations and companies that use Tintex? Okay, majority of the people that are listening, you know, to me, you know, speak right now, majority of y'all, my audience, you probably use a service that uses Tintex. You probably have had your face scanned whether you realized it or not. The Israeli government, Unit 8200, and Mossad probably have your biometric data. So why are they talking about that? We're going to get to that in a moment. Get to that in a moment.
The 60 detained suspects worked. American investigators fear information generated by this firm may have fallen into the wrong hands and had the effect of impeding the September 11th terror inquiry. Here's Carl Cameron's second report.
Fox News has learned that some American terrorism investigators fear certain suspects in the September 11th attacks may have managed to stay ahead of them by knowing who and when investigators are calling on the telephone. How? By obtaining and analyzing data that's generated every time someone in the U.S. makes a phone call.
One sitting in state, please.
Here's how the system works. Most directory assistance calls and virtually all call records and billing in the U.S. are done for the phone companies by Amdocs Limited, an Israeli-based private telecommunications company.
Well, imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that. All that data given to a private government and a private corporation in another under a separate government that claims it's our greatest ally. I mean, I would argue that America and the United States of America is quote unquote greatest ally as far as kinship for America is Britain. However, yes, I understand the issues with the crown and the British government, okay? I'm talking about the British people, okay? If we're talking about Americana, okay? All right? I understand if you're not, you know, Caucasian, it would not be Britain. I get that. But I'm talking about Americana, the idea of America, okay? As is, you know, told to us in our history books. It's not Israel. It just isn't. Okay. So... I mean, who's Tucker Carlson, I guess as an aside, who claims that he's now red-pilled, quote-unquote, on 9/11, okay? He used to say anybody who questioned the general narrative of the 9/11 conspiracy should be kicked out of America, okay? You're traitors, okay? Still pushes the line that it's, you know, heavily Saudi Arabian government involvement with the 9/11, which is true. And the hijackers, you know, majority of them being Saudi Arabian, which is true, but now he goes a little further, same with Alex Jones, and says, well, you know, it's an inside job. You know, we had some bad actors. You know, he doesn't even mention CMP actors, that they're part of the Council for National Policy, just like his father, Richard Carson. But. He's not going to mention Mossad. Maybe eventually he will. When you have the world coming against Israel, maybe he will. Maybe eventually he will. But, I mean, for Fox News to cover this back then, pointing issues with Israeli intelligence contributing to the 9/11 attacks, is just insane. Because you wouldn't see it now, but maybe you'll see it a year or two from now on Fox News. Who knows?
Amdocs has contracts with the 25 biggest phone companies in America and more worldwide. The White House and other secure government phone lines are protected, but it is virtually impossible to make a call on normal phones without generating an Amdocs record of it. In recent years, the FBI and other government agencies have investigated Amdocs more than once. The firm has repeatedly and adamantly denied any security breaches or wrongdoing. But sources tell Fox News that in 1999, the super-secret National Security Agency, headquartered in northern Maryland, issued what's called a top-secret, sensitive, compartmentalized information report, TSSCI, warning that records of calls in the United States were getting into foreign hands, in Israel in particular. Investigators do not believe calls are being listened to, but the data about who's calling whom and when is plenty valuable in itself.
I think it's an issue for any foreign government to have this amount of data, especially for us to farm out these services to a foreign government. It's crazy. From a security standpoint, it's insane.
An internal Amdocs memo to senior company executives suggests just how Amdocs-generated call records could be used. Quote, widespread data mining techniques and algorithms, combining both the properties of the customer, like credit rating, and properties of the specific behavior.
This also shows that they've had the ability for psychographical and psychological data mining back then, before Cambridge Analytica, and the ability to have one's personal information just as simple as who you're calling, what you're, maybe even as far as what you're saying on a phone call, but at least who you're calling and how often you're calling said person. Okay? It's been going on for a while. Now the infrastructure, I believe, is in place for the digital beast system and will be unveiled to the world through the externalization of the hierarchy.
Specific behavior such as whom the customers are calling. The Amdocs memo says the system should be used to prevent phone fraud, but U.S. counterintelligence analysts
fraud, right?
say it could also...
Like Authentics, right? Protecting your digital blueprint, your digital identification. Protecting you. That's what it's for, right? Just say Amdocs, protecting you, but Israel, the Israeli government has all the information about you, yeah.
Be used to spy through the phone system. Fox News has learned that the NSA has held numerous classified conferences to warn the FBI and CIA how Amdocs records could be used.
But no one cares.
At one NSA briefing, a diagram by the Argonne National Lab was used to show that if the phone records are not secure, major security breaches are possible. Another briefing document said, quote, it has become increasingly apparent that systems and networks are vulnerable. Such crimes always involve unauthorized persons or persons who exceed their authorization.
How did this make on Fox News? That to me, I'm still flabbergasted.
Acting on exploitable vulnerabilities. Those vulnerabilities are growing because, according to another briefing, the U.S. relies too much on foreign companies like Amdocs for high-tech equipment and software.
True.
Quote,
yeah.
Many factors have led to increased dependence on code developed overseas. We buy rather than train or develop solutions. U.S. intelligence does not believe the Israeli government is involved in a misuse of Amdocs information.
Of course not. Of course not. Our greatest ally, right? But it's, I mean, come on. Is it really, it's not, come on. I mean, logically, how could they not?
And Amdocs insists that its data is secure. What U.S. government officials are worried about, however, is the possibility that Amdocs data could get into the wrong hands, particularly organized crime, and that would not be the first time such a thing has happened. Oosh. Fox News has documents of a 1997 drug trafficking case.
All right, that's it. All right, so how Israeli tech is leaving Lebanon by the wayside, okay? As Elon Musk carries with his social network transformation, the latest development could have major repercussions for Lebanese users. The businessman who acquired Twitter in October 2022 announced a major change in the account verification process requiring users to provide a photo in addition to their ID. The problem is that Authentics, the company that's chosen to process users' personal data, is based just outside of Tel Aviv. This could complicate access to account verification for citizens of Arab countries that have not normalized relations with Israel. Notably, many services with close links to Israel are banned in Lebanon, and there's no peace agreement between the two countries. For Hadi Khoury, an IT expert, the concern is understandable. Personal data possessed by this ex-subcontractor includes data of a sovereign nature. An identity document is a sensitive document. This raises a number of questions. Is the company capable of keeping personal data secure? Is it aware of its responsibility and its duty to notify the event of a data leak? Ron Atzmon, the founder of Authentics, spent his military service with the Shin Bet's notorious Unit 8200. The staff numbering between 5,000 and 10,000, this unit is Israel's main intelligence strike force, providing with 90% of its intelligence material. Yer Cohen, who headed the unit for 5 years, told Forbes. The unit has a rare moment of media exposure in 2010 when the Stuxnet, a malicious computer worm developed jointly with the CIA to reprogram and neutralize Tehran's nuclear equipment, was discovered. The operation's success set back the development of Iran's nuclear program by several years. More than a military unit, 8200 serves as an incubator for Israel's tech industry, which accounts for 14% of the country's jobs and nearly 20% of its GDP. Waze, looking at where you're driving, right? GPS, right? The low Earth orbit satellites and towers, huh? Wix, Weber, and NSO, which produced infamous Pegasus spyware, oh boy, have one thing in common. Their founders include former members of the unit. It's a good old NSO group. The problem is the porosity between the Israeli tech and the defense world, said Corey. Israel's reached a level of technological sophistication thanks to its porosity and its financial support that links defense to technological startups. It's part of the defense strategy in order to build supremacy. But this financial support does not come with a quid pro quo, as it gives the Israeli government privileged access to the information gathered by these companies. In the case of NSO and its Pegasus software, Israel has turned the lines of code into a real diplomatic tool, whether to strengthen its influence in Africa or accelerate normalization with the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain are both the company's client list. Or, finding the personal data of journalists and the locations of where they are and having them assassinated. Just saying. All right. So we have Ron Atzmon, founder and active chairman of Authentics. Of course, Authentics is celebrating Pride Month. Be yourself, be authentic. Tel Aviv. And look, Authentics, still the active chairman, supporting sales, clients, and product to grow and to continue business. So good, you'll eat at 8,200. So look, it's Authentics, okay? So like, a lot of people that were reporting on excess use of Authentics. It's an issue. Well, I mean, you always check the website, right? You always check and you just look and you see what. Oh, PayPal. Wait, what? PayPal. Huh? PayPal. PayPal, eToro, Fiverr, LinkedIn. So PayPal, eToro, LinkedIn, Fiverr, PayU, SAOX Bank, Payoneer, Coinbase. Now, I tried to find Peter Thiel funding connections to Authentics. I couldn't find them, but I'm sure they're there. I'm so sure they're there. If I was a betting man, I would take a sure bet on it. Okay. So we know Coinbase and PayPal, will be merged into, I believe, X is the everything platform, the basis work of that. Thiel and Musk are working together, even though they claim they're at odds with each other. I don't believe it as far as I can throw a brick. I think it's a lie. So, so Authentics is being used to identify yourself, protect against fraud. Protect against fraud. And major applications, Google, Uber. When I drove on Uber, I used to realize, that it would ask me to scan my face to get my biometric data. And so it would be me who was driving for Uber. And I understand that from a safety perspective to a certain degree. I get it. But I still don't like it. And so always in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, well, what company is doing this? Well, it turns out it's Authentics. Authentics has my biometric data and my ID. What can I say? So Authentics offers document verification, identity verification, KYC, know your customer, and AML tools in a range of industries. So what might some other industries be, right? So think about it. LinkedIn, you're giving your information out. Well, Authentics has it there. Coinbase, through your identification, your information. Well, if you give them their biometric data, which I usually don't give my biometric data on anything. However, I did give it to Uber to work for Uber. which I 10-6 got it from there. So oops, my bad. But you know, I usually don't use biometric. You know, I don't even know why I did it for Uber. Thinking about it, but I had to work. And so you know, and so they have it. They have it. So what else? We're going to look at what else in a minute. So verify better, convert more, worry less. Security is in our DNA. And I'd actually argue anytime anyone's ever used a phone, it's already scanned your face. It's already, your phone that you're using has already scanned your face. I'm pretty sure on that. So anyone who's used a smartphone, they already have you anyway. They're taking data from you that you there's no way that you can. The only way I guess you could opt out of it is if you had a phone that was incapable of doing those things, which they do exist. But I would not go with I would not go with Eric Prince's phone. Okay. But there are phones where the technology is extremely limited, right? So maybe on those phones it wouldn't, right? But anybody who's used a modern phone, I'm sure it's taking a picture of your face. I'm sure even if you claim that you opt out of all of this data mining, it's still mining your data. It's listening to you through your microphones. It's categorizing everything that you do on that phone. It's scanning your face every time you look down at it. I'm sure it has it no matter what. Smart TVs have the same capability. People with webcams have the same capability. They randomly turn on laptops and on tablets, and there's cameras literally everywhere. So unless you lived out in the forest and have had no technology and haven't been seen for 15 years, they have everybody's biometric data. They have everybody's biometric data. Now, to the degree of what they have, do they have your DNA sequencing that God has given individually every person? Do they have, what data? Do they have your personality? Your psychological data. Do they? Your psychographical data. Do they have your psychological data? Your mind, as the Bible would say. I don't know. I don't know to what degree of every person do they have the data on per se. But there's degrees, and I'm pretty sure since we are in the prototype for the beast system, okay, we're not in the final beast system, right? None of us have taken the X, the mark of the beast, right? The X everything platform, right? It still has a certain amount of data. It just doesn't have everything, and it doesn't have your full consent. That's what was required for the mark of the beast. It's not something that's going to be sneaked upon you. It requires your consent to be in the system. Your worship and adoration of the beast, the Antichrist, okay? So a lot of people would say no to these apps. I don't want you to take my data. They're not giving their consent for it, okay? And it does it anyway. Mark of the beast, the Antichrist will have your consent, your adoration, your worship, okay? It's not something that's given to you and you didn't know, okay? You willingly choose it. You choose the Antichrist over Christ's sacrifice on the cross for earthly gain and pleasure and survivability, okay? I want to make that known. So for people to say that the V was the mark of the beast, and it changes your DNA, and it separates you from God, that's a bunch of New Age hogwash, okay? And there's sadly Christians that believe that. That's a bunch of New Age hogwash, all right? Now, could it affect the way that your DNA is expressed epigenetically? Of course. Could it cause health issues? Of course. But it doesn't change you being created in God's image, okay? And am I against it? Of course. So, verify better, convert more, worry less. Security is in our DNA. Our origins in airport security make us the fraud experts. Highest pass rate. Fully automatic verification increases accuracy and reduces manual reviews. So it takes, a human person from looking at your face and your ID. It takes that away from doing that, okay? Frictionless customer experience. Users love our seamless onboarding and simplified identity verification processes. Okay, simplified identity verification process. Future-proof technology. Stay ahead of emerging threats and evolving regulatory requirements. Emerging threats is a very big Anderson and Horowitz buzz term for the techno-optimist future. Okay. So I'm pretty sure Anderson and Horowitz are involved in Autentex. Very much would put money on that too. So industries, gaming, automotive. So if you know automotive, as far as you've been seeing those little car insurance discounts, that you can plug into your car and it monitors your driving, right? Yeah. Automotive as well too is like Uber verification, right? Of who the Uber driver is, okay, for safety reasons, okay. Cryptos, we already shown with Coinbase. Know your customer requirements, right? Okay. Payments, e-commerce, social media with X, okay. Banking and mobility, okay. So let's see if it lists anything for each one, right? So for gaming, know your player. Know your player. So what games are you playing? Man, there is a lot of psychographical data you can get from knowing what a person watches and plays and listens to. Okay. So, yeah, no more, which I'm not arguing. It should be the case. But no more crap posting when you're playing Call of Duty. You say something that you're not supposed to say and, you're gone. Okay. So gaming identify verification. So one thing I noticed is interesting is they're using it to protect minors. So again, it's dear, will someone please think of the children? That's what they're using this for. Oh God, will someone please think of the children? Dear God, will someone please think of the children? The children! Okay, and look. I'm not saying that kids should play violent video games. Obviously, you should, any parent should monitor what their kids view or play or listen to the best of their ability, okay? If they truly care about their kids, they'll do that, especially if you are a born-again Christian, for sure. None of us are perfect, and in a modern age, it is everywhere. But you should at least strive to care. Okay. You shouldn't have a company do it for you. There should be something as personal responsibility. Okay? So, let's continue. Automotive. Know your driver. Know your driver and know about your driver. Okay? Reduce car theft and fraud losses with fast and compliant know your customer verification. Secure test drive. So this is for dealerships. Owner registration validation. Okay? That you own the car, your registration. Now, protected by Autentex. Driver identity verification, for dealerships and for Uber. Know who's driving. Online auto rental and financing, so through Enterprise or Alamo or Thrifty and your general car rental companies. Bank account identification verification, credit score identification. So credit score, check your credit score if you're going to purchase a car automatically. Okay. Not many brands right now as far as cars are concerned. Probably be more. It's interesting they didn't list Uber up there. So crypto. So crypto is for know your customer. Look right here. Stop fraud, increase pass rates. Financial tech, gaming, mobility, so driving. Crypto, healthcare, automotive, e-commerce, banking, social media, payments, education, and hospitality. So everything, right? X the everything app, right? Right? So, what do I mean by mobility? I'm just curious to see. Nah, they're not really talking. They're talking about. It's interesting for mobility. It's PayPal, Fiverr. It's the vagabond economy and it's Uber, it's crypto. So it's the future digital beast system monetary platform, and the vagabond economy. You working for yourself, but under how much money can they give you? Okay, so I'm gonna go on a small rant here for about the vagabond economy for a minute. All right, so I work for Uber on occasion to bring in some extra income. I work for DoorDash to bring in some extra income on occasion, and they pay you. They used to pay you $4 to $5 a trip. The company itself. So DoorDash used to pay you, DoorDash, Uber, all teal. Okay. DoorDash used to pay you $4 to $5 per trip. Okay, so they would take a delivery fee out of the person buying the food, and through that, kind of pulling the money together into a pot, they would pay drivers. So they pay $4 to $5 per delivery plus whatever tip. Okay, which is fair because that's fair. It's not like that anymore. They try to get away with how little that they could pay somebody. Okay, so now DoorDash is going as low as $2 a trip. Okay, so let's say the average rate of acceptance that I would take a delivery is $1 per mile. Okay, now anything above that is a win. Okay, so let's say that I had to pick up an order from Papa John's. They wanted me to go 10 miles. The customer doesn't give me a tip, and DoorDash just wants to pay me $2.50. That's not, or $2. That's not economically viable. That is not worth my time. It just simply isn't. It'll cost me more in gas. It'll cost me more in just my time alone. That's less than minimum wage. It could take upwards in an hour sometimes for one delivery. Now, most of the time it's less. Most of the time you do 2 to 3 deliveries in an hour, okay? But that isn't always the case, all right? And so, this whole pull you up by your bootstraps mentality that's been beaten over our head by boomers and conservative media, okay? If it's rigged by people like Peter Thiel, where they're paying you less than the minimum wage by far, okay? And not only you're the one that's paying the gas, you're the one who's paying the car maintenance, okay? You're the one that's paying your taxes because you were an independent contractor. The system is rigged against you by far compared to by almost any other time in modern history because of the Great Reset that we're going through. And to think that's not an issue, I don't know what to say. Now, it's not squarely on Biden's shoulders, okay? It's the old world order, the current world order, and the people behind them to go through the Great Reset to go to the phony Great Awakening, okay? But the only way that Uber drivers and DoorDash drivers make any money is through tips. And the economy's so bad, people can't tip right now, or they don't want to. Now, I'll say this. I'll take a $2.50, $3 order, $2 order sometimes. If it's less than 10 miles, obviously. I'm not doing, that per se. It's too much. But I'll take, a no-tip order, especially if it seems to be going to a lower poverty area. I get it. But Lord help me sometimes if I don't get mad when I deliver to a very, very rich neighborhood and I get no tip. Sometimes I have to pray to God to take the anger away from me, because it's demoralizing. We live on tips. So it's rough, man. It's rough out there in the vagabond economy. And the vagabond economy is part of the coming beast system. It's part of the coming beast system with the universal payment system, universal basic income. So it's just something I want to go on a rant on. So they claim it's mobility. The vagabond economy and the digital currency is mobility. It's upward mobility. Okay, that's very interesting for Authentex to label as such. when you're a digital serf in a digital ghetto. Okay. Social media, I would assume do they even have X up yet? They don't even have X up yet for social media. Interesting. All right, so Wall Street Journal exclusive. Inside Donald Trump and Elon Musk's growing alliance. So I believe Donald Trump is likely the Antichrist. Okay, I'm not saying thus saith the Lord. Okay. Could it be wrong? Could be a deception to make people think he's the Antichrist when he's not. Okay. Just like I believe that Elon Musk is likely the false prophet. I don't know if he is. Okay. I'm saying I believe it to be likely. I'm not saying thus saith the Lord. I'm not saying that God's given me any specific prophecies. Okay. I'm not prophesying here. I'm just saying it seems like it. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I will repent of it. Okay? Donald Trump and Elon Musk have discussed in a possible advisory role for the Tesla leader should the presumptive Republican nominee reclaim the White House's latest sign to a once frosty relationship between the two men as thought. It never was frosty. The role hasn't been fully hammered out and might not happen. People familiar with the talks, but the two men discuss ways to give Musk formal input and influence over policies related to border security and the economy. We already have the digital border wall brought to us by Anduril Industries, brought to us by Lucky Palmer, brought to us by Peter Thiel. So who'd have knew that the, build the wall, digital and physical, was to keep us in? Who knew? Okay. But Musk is also going to be involved in border security and the economy. The basis for the worldwide beast system. The worldwide mark of the beast is an economic stronghold. Both on which issues in which Musk has grown more vocal. Musk, along with a billionaire investor Nelson Peltz, has also briefed Trump on a plan they have developed to invest into a data-driven project to prevent voter fraud. There you go. We got to prevent voter fraud. We need a universal ID verified to vote by Authentics. Huh? Yeah. According to some of the people. Peltz and Musk also told Trump of an influence campaign elite circles, which is already underway, which Musk and the political allies host gatherings of powerful business leaders across the country. Try to convince them not to support President Biden's re-election campaign. The voice of the beast. As recently as 2 years ago, Trump and Musk were publicly trading insults. But in the recent months, the two men are developing a friendly rapport and talk on the phone several times a month as the election nears. People familiar with the talk said. The pair has also discussions on immigration, technology, science, including U.S. Space Force. The Space Force, which symbol looks like Baphomet. And it's interesting about U.S. The Space Force in the QAnon lore. Okay. The Space Force isn't for space-based weapons and some sort of false alien invasion. It's the eyes in the sky in low Earth orbit that see everything and know everything. Yeah. Data collection likes humanity has ever seen. That's what Space Force represents in the QAnon mythos. Not space-based weapons, not aliens. The Space Force is to spy is the all-seeing eye in the sky. Okay? Their views and interests have grown more aligned, the people said, with Musk calling Trump directly on his cell phone. Trump has told Musk that he's one of the world's wealthiest people. He wants to find a way to get more involved if he wins in November. Musk, who has a long history of flouting convention in the business world, has signaled he isn't interested in simply writing a check to a super PAC, which can also unlimited amounts of money accept limited amounts of money from donors as a popular way for billionaire class to support candidates. Instead, he is elected to use his clout in elite business and technological circles to help defeat Biden by galvanizing the support of influential allies. Musk has told associates that he is motivated by anxieties over the direction of the country. Among other things, Musk has run against what he's called the woke mind virus, a catcall of liberal policies including diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that conservatives say create divisions. Musk didn't respond to requests for comment. Former president, for his part, is impressed with Musk's wealth and has embraced the right return of the Tesla CEO's politics. Musk has said politics are fairly moderate and have donated smaller amounts to Democrats and Republicans in the past years, according to Federal Election Commission filings. His politics publicly shifted in May 2022 when he tweeted he would vote Republican because Democrats become the party of division and hate, so I can no longer support them. So the pendulum swift. The swift pendulum shift. Brian Hughes, a spokesman for the Trump campaign, said President Trump will be the only voice of what role an individual plays in his presidency. Oh, okay. Well, Musk, after Trump, if he is the Antichrist, gets a mortal head wound, will, through the image of the beast, be the voice for the Antichrist. Yeah. The discussion around the advisory rule and voting project took place at March gathering at Mont Sorrel, Pelt's sprawling ocean-fronted estate in Palm Beach, Florida. The group of wealthy and powerful friends, some of the people familiar with discussions, the New York Times earlier reported the meeting had occurred, but details of the discussions had previously disclosed. His guests nibbled on a Sunday morning breakfast of eggs, bacon, and fresh fruit served by Pelt's household staff. Pelt, Trump, and Musk held forth in November elections, criticizing Biden stewardship of the country. People said, it's a family affair. Musk and his young son, X. X marks the spot, right? B system, right? Named his son X, right? Would often join at events. Were part of a group that also include Trump and his 18-year-old son, Barron. Musk and Peltz know each other in part through Peltz's son, Diesel, a tech entrepreneur who is friendly with Musk. What is he, a wrestler? Diesel Peltz was at breakfast as well. The official administration advisory gig for Musk would likely be the role previously held by Isaac Perlmutter, former Marvel chairman and confidant to both Peltz and Trump's, one of the people said. So supposedly, allegedly, what was discussed between Musk and Barron Trump was the crypto. Because, Trump is old. He really doesn't understand the crypto. And Barron is young, and Barron, as a young Trump, understands the crypto. Okay? Supposedly, allegedly, that was the rumors that were going on in the meeting, was Barron Trump was there with Musk to discuss the crypto. And now we know that Trump is labeling himself as the crypto president, okay? And, he is the president of the V, but the father of the V, but he's also the father of crypto to its mass adoption and use by the United States government and, in fact, probably the world, which will be facilitated through Elon Musk's X platform, which might be the mark of the beast. It's also tiresome. And few people see it. I'm going to do another stream of more people worshiping Donald Trump as the Messiah. It's sickening, and it's blasphemy of the highest order. A man equating any man to Jesus, the Son of God, Son of Man, the sinless, spotless Lamb. But Trump, the embodiment of greed, the embodiment of lasciviousness, the embodiment of debauchery, the embodiment of a liar, the embodiment of a thief, the embodiment of a murderer, the embodiment of evil, which might make him the Antichrist just based off of just how fallen the man is. Comparing him and the trials he is going with, as guilty as the man is with everything he has done in his life, to Jesus is utter rank blasphemy. These people should be ashamed of themselves. And any Christian that supports anybody who equates the two, man, you really need to check to see if you're in the faith. Because I believe this is the grand illusion that leads to the rise of the Antichrist. During the Trump presidency, Perlmutter was positioned at the Department of Veterans Affairs in an advisory capacity along with two other members of Trump's Mar-a-Lago compound in Florida, a Palm Beach doctor and an attorney. He spoke to the agency staff and weighed on a range of matters, including budgets, mental health initiatives, software procurement, and overhaul of VA's record programs. Musk served on the White House business advisory groups during Trump's term as president, but resigned from them in 2017 as disagreeing with Trump's decision to pull out the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord, which has changed now. However, I would argue that Musk, Trump, all of them are pro-climate accord too as well, in different ways. You have the Great Reset Climate Accord, and you have the phony Great Awakening Climate Accord. Get ready. Trump made billionaire investor Carl Icahn, an old business acquaintance, a special advisor to the president on overhauling federal regulations in 2016. He was named to the post. Icahn had already been helping Trump vet candidates for top post at the Security Exchange Commission and Environmental Protection Agency. Business was an official government job, meaning Eichen did not get paid but did not have to give us business things. Eichen resigned from the post less than a year later after drawing criticism for potential conflicts of interest with investments. He's kept his distance from Trump and Washington since. Musky and Pence have acquaintances that are working on a data-driven project to ensure votes are fairly counted, echoing Trump's accusation of widespread fraud in 2020 election. Trump's own Attorney General Bill Barr has rejected those claims about the 2020 election because he serves the current world order, CNP Bill Barr. Trump's campaign and his allies lost dozens of lawsuits challenging the results. Musky and Pence described the initiative of Trump in the March meeting. According to a person familiar with the discussion, more details about the anti-fraud effort couldn't be learned. So when the pendulum swifts back, all of a sudden, the quote-unquote voter fraud evidence is going to be leaked to the public. Get ready for that. It's going to happen. By hook or by crook, I believe it's going to happen. All right? Where, whether it's whole cloth made up or not, okay? All of a sudden, when that pendulum snaps back, the populists are going to believe in mass, people that previously don't even believe right now, that Trump, quote-unquote, won the election. He won the selection. Recent talks between the two men have covered some Musk companies, including the X social media platform, Tesla, the electric vehicle maker, rocket satellite launcher, SpaceX. People familiar with discussions have said. Okay. All right. Musk plans to continue operating with his anti-Biden cause and the lead group of business leaders who he counts as friends. In April, Musk hosted a secret dinner. The guests include Peltz, Peter Thiel. I thought they hated each other. Steve Mnuchin, who's buying TikTok, and Trump launched his TikTok account, and Trump's TikTok is destroying Biden's TikTok, and Biden's TikTok has been around for a lot longer. So, yeah, Rupert Murdoch, which owns Wall Street Journal, who's reporting this, interestingly enough. According to people familiar with the matter, the gathering was earlier reported by news outlet Puck. The group convened an entrepreneur investor David Sachs' 11-square-foot modern farm top against Hollywood Hills. Musk and Sachs worked together years ago on PayPal. So Musk, Peltz, Trump, Thiel, Murdoch, Mnuchin. Was Kushner there? We'll never know. But I'm pretty sure Kushner was there. Okay. X, which allows users as young as 13, changes rules to formally allow porn on the platform. It also applies AI-generated photographic or animated content such as cartoons, hentai, or anime. X allows users as young as 13 to create accounts. The platform has always been flooded with adult content, but the rules never clarified if it was allowed or not. TechCrunch reports that's changing now. Over the weekend, X added clauses to its rules, formally allowing users to post adult and graphic content on its platform. Full caveats. Users can now post consensually produced, not safe for work content, as long as they're prominently labeled as such. The new rules also cover AI-generated videos and images. Users must mark the pornographic content so it's not visible to minors or people who do not have their age in their profile. X's page on adult content policies now states, we believe that users should be able to create, distribute, and consume material related to sexual themes as long as it's consensually produced and distributed. Sexual expression, whether visual or written, can be a legitimate form of artistic expression. With the autonomy of adults to engage and create content that reflects their own beliefs, desires, and experiences, and those who relate to sexuality. Balance this freedom by restricting exposure to adult content for children or adult users who choose not to see it. We also prohibit content promoting exploitation, non-consent, objectification, sexualization, or harm to minors and obscene behaviors. We also do not allow sharing adult content in highly visible places, such as profile photos or banners. Yeah, I don't believe any of that. X added that it applies AI-generated photographic and animated content such as cartoon, hentai, or anime. Users can report pornographic images and videos that are not properly marked as adult content. The move would make X the formal competitor to OnlyFans. Okay, so there you go. Everything, right? XXX, right? The Everything app. Got porn on that too. The B system's going to have its debaucherous pornography. Am I right? Of course. Of course. SpaceX aims to launch cellular Starlink service this fall. So, contrary to popular belief, most of your cell phone calls are done by land-based satellites and under sea cable communications, okay? You're actually, when you call somebody, most people think it goes to a satellite and then, it goes to a cell phone tower, then a satellite, then to another cell phone tower. That's simply not true. Now, GPS is done by low Earth orbit satellites. Okay, that is true. Okay, your global position satellites is done by low Earth orbiting satellites, as well as cell phone towers for geolocation. Okay. Now, through Starlink, you have internet through low Earth orbit around the world. Okay, we're gonna get to that in a minute. Now you're gonna have the ability to call. So the combination of the Starlink system, if you notice it has an X on it, it's going to combine with the XSAT for everything, including cellular and internet. I believe one day that the only cellular service that will exist through, I don't know, probably some sort of catastrophe where the internet goes down for a few days and comes back up. Okay, something they'll make up. Okay. The only way that you'll be able to get on the internet in America, and I believe eventually around the world, if it becomes the beast system, X does, if it becomes the mark of the beast, digitally. And you're going to have to get some sort of physical mark on your right arm or your forehead to use it. I think it's going to be some sort of chip. Maybe it's Neuralink. Okay. So you have the physical representation of the beast system, and you have the digital representation of the beast system. Just like you have the physical beast and you have the image of the beast, which is digital, in my opinion. So this gives the ability for the farthest reach remote civilization to be under the mark of the beast. And it will be approved by the FCC. Here's an article. I think the technology is far superior. I don't think it's like hundreds of years, but it's enough to facilitate the coming B system now. I think it exists. I think it's being rolled out through the externalization hierarchy. Okay. The internet's final frontier, remote Amazon tribes. Okay, well, look, that's a Starlink satellite. What's that doing there, John? As the speech is dragged on, eyes drift to screens, teenagers scrolled Instagram. One man texts his girlfriend, and man crowded around a phone streaming a soccer match while the group's first female leader spoke. Just about anywhere a scene like this would be mundane, but this is happening in a remote indigenous village in one of the most isolated stretches of the planet. The Marlborough people had once lived in communal huts scattered hundreds of miles along the Aitui River deep in the Amazon rainforest. They speak their own language, take ayahuasca to connect with forest spirits, and trap spider monkeys to make soup or keep as pets. Interesting ayahuasca reference, right? They have perceived this way of 100 life years through isolation. Some villages can take a week to reach, but since September, the Marabou have had high-speed internet thanks to Elon Musk. The 2,000-member tribe is one of the hundreds across Brazil that are suddenly logging in with Starlink, the satellite internet service from SpaceX. Mr. Musk, again, X, right? Mr. Musk's private space company. Since entering into Brazil in 2022, Starlink has swept across the world's largest rainforest, bringing web to one of the most last offline places on Earth. Your Times traveled deep into the Amazon Marabou villages to understand what happens if a tiny, close civilization suddenly opens to the world. When it arrived, everyone was happy, said Tiziana Marabou, 73, sitting on the dirt floor of her village's Malacca. A 50-foot-tall hut where the Marabou sleep, cook, and eat together. The internet brought clear benefits like video chats from faraway loved ones and calls for help to emergencies. But now things have gotten worse, she said. She was kneading jinipapo berries to make a black body paint and wearing robes of jewelry made from snail shells. Lately, the youth have become less interested in making such dyes and jewelry, she said. Young people have gotten lazy because of the internet, she said. They're learning the ways of the white people. She then paused and added, but please don't take our internet away. The Marabou are struggling with internet's fundamental dilemma. It's become essential at a cost. X, the mark of the beast, is essential, but at a cost, the cost of one's soul. After only 9 months of Starlink, the Marabou have already grappling with the same challenges that have racked American households for years. Teenagers glued to phones, group chats full of gossip, addictive social networks, online strangers, violent video games, scams, misinformation, and minors watching pornography. Modern society has dealt with these issues over decades as the internet continues its relentless march. The Marabou and other indigenous tribes who have resisted modernity for generations are now confronting the internet's potential in parallel at once, while debating what it will mean for their identity and culture. So there you go. The internet reaching the far reaches of Earth, the most distal tribe, and with that, the gospel reaching the most distal area, which Jesus talks about the end time with that, is right, as well as the ability for the mark of the beast to go worldwide, reaching the far reaches of civilization. And finally, Elon Musk and the X platform will soon be hosting a special presidential town hall with President Donald John Trump. Join X Talks Live host Kate and Crash for the pre-stream, the town hall, and open mic post discussion with your questions with Elon Musk. Okay. So there you go. There's a return to discuss. The potential beast system, the potential mark of the beast, which will be the digital X platform with some sort of physical linkage to it to be able to use it, and the possibility of Elon Musk being the false prophet. So let's read Revelation 13, the beast from the earth. Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke as a dragon. He exercised all authority of the first beast in his presence, and he makes the earth and those who live on it worship the first beast, whose fatal wound was healed. So he makes all of the world worship the Antichrist. He performs great signs, and it even makes fire come down from the sky to the earth in the presence of people. Maybe that has something to do with Starlink satellites falling to earth, right? Just saying. And he deceived those who live on the earth because of the signs which is given to him to perform in the presence of the beast, telling those who live on the earth to make an image to the beast who had the wound of the sword and has come to life. It was given to him to give the breath to the image of the beast, so the image of the beast would even speak and cause all who do not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, great and small, rich and poor, and free and slaves, to be given the mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, as he decrees that no one will be able to buy or sell except the one who has the mark, either the name of the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is the wisdom. Let him who understands calculate the number of the beast, for that number is a man, and his number is 666. So, whether or not Elon Musk is the false prophet, whether or not Trump is the Antichrist, whether or not we are living in the end times, do not let your heart be troubled. If you are born again, if you trust on the Lord, trust in the Lord fully, do not trust in man. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and the only Savior of mankind. There is no other. You cannot save yourself. You need a Savior. We have all fall short of the glory of God. We have all sinned except for the sinless one, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So believe in his death, burial, and resurrection. Believe in him as the Messiah, the one and only light upon the world, so that you may be saved. Stay in the Word. Love your neighbor as yourself. Build your relationship and your walk with God through prayer and through reading his Word, which is the Bible, and through communing with other fellow born-again Christians. Take care, everyone. God bless.